Hi, I'm Angela from Adelaide Walker, and this is the first in a short series about spinning on the drop spindle. Now, when you begin to learn to spin, one of the most difficult things to do is to draw the fibres out. And by that we mean it's where you're separating some fibres from the rest in order to spin them. And what you achieve is a drafting triangle. So you see that little triangle shape between my two hands? That's the shape. And this is the bit that is difficult for people. So I wanted first off to talk about fibre preparation. Now the fibre I'm using here is Shetland fibre. Beautiful fibre to spin, but quite often we find we're attracted to these because of the pretty colours, and they are beautiful. But things like merino, very fine wools, are actually more difficult when you're learning to spin because it's a finer fibre, it goes denser, and if your hands get hot and sticky, which they do when you're learning, you end up, you can see, look, you end up compressing the fibres, and then it becomes more difficult to pull them out. So I would suggest starting with something like a Shetland wool, like this one, or we can use something like a Jacob wool. This comes in 3 shades, so you can do a little bit of colour work. The Shetland we have in 4 shades, so you're not entirely just in a single colour. But what you'll notice, this format is called a top, and all the fibres have been combed, so they're all laying in the same direction. Now, when you're trying to draft, you're trying to separate the fibres, and if I've got my hands close, I can't move those out. If I put my hands further apart, they'll slide out easily. But this is quite a wide chunk of fibre to work with when you're working with your spindle. So what I suggest you do is split off down the length about a pencil width. And as you saw, I had the extra length over my arm out of the way. If you don't, what happens is that these fibres hang much closer to your spindle, and that happens. So if you've got a long piece, just flipping it up over your arm keeps it out of the way when you're working. Now you might still have a little difficulty pulling the fibres out, so you can do something, and I don't know if the white might be a better contrast here, what's called pre-drafting. So draft it before I even begin to spin. So you can see that's quite solid, you can't see through that fibre. But by gently pulling it, but not pulling it completely apart, you can probably, hopefully, see the difference between this one, which I haven't drafted, and this side, which I have pre-drafted. So that's much finer and easier for you then to work with when you begin to spin. So just another way of making it easy for yourself. So if you do end up struggling with your fibres, think about how you can change them. Something else you can do, instead of working from a top, is work from a rolag, which you can make with a pair of hand carders or with a blending board. But if you haven't got that, you're just starting out and you're not sure if that's what you want, you can make one yourself. So I'm going to try and do this up here. So you can see I'm going to lay quite light, airy bits of fibre until I've got myself a little light sandwich. Then I'm going to roll it up. So I've got a little sausage shape, and then instead of a long fibre, you've only got this short bit. It doesn't hang down in the way of your spindle, and again, because these fibres are already mixed up, there's lots of air in them, they're easier to pull out than when they're in the top form. And it's a way of mixing your colours at the same time. Now there's another one to show you, which is, it's known as a bat or a carded bat, and that's where the fibre comes usually rolled up ready for you to unfold. And you can see there's some lovely colours in this. But again, this is a big piece, so you can split it down the length, or you can pull off lengths, just like this, and just spin small handfuls at a time, another way of managing your fibre. And there's just one final way that I want to show you, which I didn't do earlier, which is you can also do what's called spinning from the fold. So again, a short piece of fibre, it's only about 6 inch, fold it over your finger, and then you begin to spin what's known as from the fold. But again, it's another way just of helping you to control your fibres and make it a little bit easier for you when you begin. And the next session that we do will be about how to actually start spinning on your spindle. So this one's just about your fibres, so good luck.